The Heinkel 177 was Germany's only four-engined long-range bomber during World War II. Although the Heinkel entered service in 1942, it was far from operational, and the type matured into a usable design too late in the war to play an important role. But the discussion to create strategic aviation began in 1934. Even then, the problem of choosing between tactical and strategic aviation appeared, which continued until 1944. The most active lobbyist of the German strategic bomber force was the first chief of the Luftwaffe General Staff, General Walter Wever, who believed that the Reich in any case needed an aircraft that could reach the enemy's industrial centers. Wever began his military service in the army in 1905. In 1915 he was awarded the rank of captain, and he was sent to the General Staff, where, despite his low rank, he proved himself to be a capable tactician and organizer. In 1917, Wever became the adjutant of General Erich Ludendorff and later gained a reputation as one of the best students of Ludendorff. After the end of the First World War, Wever continued to serve in the Reichswehr. Later, the Minister of War of the Third Reich, General Werner von Bromberg, realizing the need for the Luftwaffe created by competent leaders, transferred his best staff officers to this department. One of them was Wever. Blomberg also noted that the army was losing the future chief of the General Staff. Wever, in an incredibly short time, delved into all the problems of the Luftwaffe and determined the priority directions for their development. Unlike other staff officers, he realized that Hitler did not seek to take revenge from France and Great Britain for the defeat in the Great War, and that Hitler believed that the Soviet Union would become the main strategic opponent of the Third Reich. Guided by these considerations, Wever organized the Luftwaffe in the hope of a strategic air war with the Soviet Union. He was confident that Germany needed a heavy bomber with a sufficient range to destroy targets in the Soviet industrial areas and, moreover, capable of reaching the Ural Mountains, which were 1,500 miles from the closest German airfields. In the end, he managed to convince both Göring and Hitler of the need to create heavy, long-range bombers capable of achieving these goals. As a result, in 1934, the German Ministry of Aviation formed the requirements for a new four-engined heavy bomber, which was to surpass the best heavy bomber of that time, the Soviet Tupolev TB-3. According to the task, the aircraft was supposed to be a free-flying monoplane with retractable landing gear, which should be able to deliver 2.5 tons of bombs to targets in the Urals, so the project received the name the Ural Bomber. Albert Speer, the Minister of Arms of Germany, wrote in his memoir about the potential goals for the Ural Bomber. We remembered vulnerabilities in the Soviet energy sector. According to our data, there was no well-established air defense system. In the Soviet Union, electricity production was concentrated in several points, usually located in a vast territory of industrial zones. For example, Moscow was supplied with electricity by the electric center located in the Upper Volga. According to the information received, 60% of all the devices necessary for the optical and electrical industry were manufactured around Moscow. It was enough to bring down a hail of bombs at power plants, as in the Soviet Union steel mills would stand up and production would completely stop tanks and ammunition. In the early autumn of 1935, the Dornier firm ordered an experimental aircraft designated Dornier Do-19. The creation of the Do-19 was considered by Dornier as a priority task. The work on this aircraft was carried out so intensively that the assembly of the first prototype, the Do-19 V1, was completed a little more than a year after receiving the specification. The plane made its first flight in October of 1936. Naturally, the Soviet Tupolev TB3, which was created in 1930, had a great influence on German designs. By analogy with it, the Dornier was also designed as a free-flying monoplane with a medium wing layout. The bomber could reach speeds of 315 km per hour, and it had a 9-man crew: commander, navigator, bombing operator, radio operator, and 5 gunners. To accommodate the bomb load in the fuselage, there was a compartment equipped with cluster bomb racks. The total weight of the bombs was 1,600 kilograms, so 16 bombs of 100 kilograms or 32 bombs weighing 50 kilograms each. However, the fate of the aircraft was directly related to its father, General Walter Weber. After his death in a plane crash on the 3rd of June 1936, the program for creating the Ural bomber was gradually curtailed. Weber's successor, the new Chief of Staff of the Luftwaffe, General Albert Kesselring, decided to revise the Ural bomber program. The Luftwaffe headquarters has also already developed the basic parameters of much more promising heavy bomber. Requirements for such Bomber A were transferred to Heinkel, who began work on the project, which was embodied in the Heinkel 177. Kesselring concluded that a smaller twin-engine bomber was sufficient for a war in Western Europe. The main goal of the Luftwaffe was determined rather at the tactical than at the strategic level. Given the limited capabilities of the German aircraft industry, a heavy bomber could be produced only to detriment of fighters and tactical bombers. But it was not Kesselring who killed off the Ural bomber concept, rather its boss, Hermann Göring, who seized strategic bomber development in Germany even before the start of World War II upon the advice of Albert Kesselring. Thus, all work on the Ural bomber was officially discontinued. Many experts believe that when creating the Luftwaffe, the exclusion of the 4-engine heavy bomber from the development program of the aviation was one of the most fatal mistakes in Germany. As the war progressed in 1943, Göring bemoaned the lack of a heavy bomber fleet and cursed those who had told him that medium bombers were superior to the heavy bombers. The events of the strengthening of the oil campaign offensive against Germany's petroleum, oil and lubricant resources and infrastructure sounded the death knell for all efforts towards giving its Luftwaffe any sort of strategic bombing capability. And by early July of 1944, the Jägernot program, or the Emergency Fighter program, ended all development of German military aircraft not usable for defensive purposes, focusing solely on advanced fighter designs instead. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you, and see you in the next video.